Astonishment, heartbreak, and profound reflection are the emotions I felt. After researching and exploring over 100 Black celebrities regarding the journey of raising children under the immense pressure of the spotlight. Hello everyone, we are our Memory Vault, and this is the video 31 Black celebrities and their beautiful daughters. This profoundly impacts how the children of the next generation shape their personalities and preserve their family legacies, and it might leave you shocked to learn the tearful truths behind the velvet curtain. This video is perfect to play while you are resting, enjoying a meal with your family, or doing housework. All the information in this video has been researched and gathered by us from multiple sources. If there are any inaccuracies, please leave a comment below to help our channel grow. Please follow the channel, hit the like button, and turn on the notification bell to receive our earliest videos. Now let's get right into our first figures. Beyoncé and Blue Ivy Carter. When mentioning Beyoncé Knowles, the world immediately thinks of an ultimate symbol of power in the global music industry, a woman of color who used iron discipline to build an entire artistic empire. Because of this regal status, the birth of her first daughter, Blue Ivy Carter, in 2012 was not only a joy for the family, but also an explosive media event. Living under an unprecedentedly brilliant halo, Blue Ivy had to get used to having every private moment exposed to the camera lenses right from birth. The strict scrutiny from the public and the unintentional judgments about a child's appearance all created a massive psychological pressure that few at that age could endure. However, instead of withdrawing before the storms of public opinion, little Blue Ivy demonstrated a resilient spirit, a mental weapon fully inherited from her great mother. The historical turning point proving her remarkable maturity was the moment Blue Ivy confidently strode onto the stage of the prestigious Global Renaissance Tour, performing skillful choreography before tens of thousands of admiring eyes. Not stopping there, possessing a prestigious Grammy Award at just 9 years old, officially shattered all prejudices about the concept of a Nepo baby who only relies on parents. She is taking slow but certain steps, polishing her own gem of talent to affirm a completely independent position in the future. From the perspective of our Memory Vault, the story between Beyoncé and Blue Ivy is a beautiful picture of how core values are transferred between two generations. We highly appreciate that this famous mother did not hide her child from the world, but bravely held her hand and stepped into the light, equipping her with a spirit of steel to face the rumors. This is a profound lesson for parents. True love is not a sterile glass cage protecting children from every stumble, but rather the forging of bravery so they can confidently spread their wings. A younger generation can only truly carry on the family legacy when their individuality is respected and they build their own halo with their own hands. Whitney Houston and Bobbi Kristina Brown. Whitney Houston, the angelic voice that captivated countless generations of audiences with timeless love songs, had a life full of personal tragedies. When her only daughter, Bobbi Kristina Brown, was born, it was also the time when Whitney's marriage entered its darkest and most unstable days. That poor child had to grow up amidst a chaotic mix of peak fame, blinding camera flashes, and the bitter hidden corners behind the family's closed doors. Although Whitney always gave her daughter immense maternal love and wished to bring her the best, the turbulent living environment unintentionally sowed unhealable cracks in Bobbi's soul. The sudden passing of her legendary mother dealt a fatal blow to Bobbi Kristina's already fragile spirit. Losing her greatest pillar of support in life, the young girl completely lost her direction, left isolated amid the malicious gossip of the media and the terrifying loneliness in her own home. Her desperate efforts to cling to her mother's image through music could not save her from the deep abyss of depression. In the blink of an eye, at the age of 22, Bobbi Kristina departed this world in a heartbreaking script that exactly mirrored the tragedy of her late mother, leaving boundless sorrow for those who had followed this talented but ill-fated family. Through the lens of our Memory Vault, the series of tragedies involving Whitney Houston and her daughter leaves a sense of melancholy and a powerful awakening about the true value of happiness. We believe that money and peak fame can never compensate for the lack of a stable home and healthy mental well-being. For audiences who have experienced many of life's ups and downs, this story is a poignant reminder. The greatest legacy we leave for our children is not massive wealth, but a peaceful childhood and the skills to overcome life's shocks. The image of Bobby Christina will forever be a sad musical note warning the glamorous world of the price paid for losing oneself. Behind the heartbreaking tears we just witnessed, the next figure will bring a spectacular reversal by daring to reject the title of her mother's copy to make history. Please don't take your eyes off the screen because the most inspiring stories are still ahead. Diana Ross and Tracee Ellis Ross. In the 70s, Diana Ross reigned as the irreplaceable queen of soul music, a fashion and style icon who redefined the position of women of color in pop culture. Born under the shadow of such a massive great tree, Tracee Ellis Ross quickly realized the harsh challenge fate had set for her. She grew up with an invisible fear that all her achievements would be overshadowed, or worse, merely seen as a pale imitation of her mother. Understanding this clearly, Tracee made a very bold decision to reject all easy support from her family, to work on her own, and to absolutely avoid the singing industry throughout her youth. Tracee's journey to find her true self was made of patient and strategic steps. She shined brightly in the acting field, especially in comedy through the hit series Black-ish, proving a graceful mindset and a remarkably sharp intellect. Furthermore, she built herself into an independent fashion icon, breaking away from all molds. The most wonderful thing only came when Tracee reached the age of 47, when she had enough confidence and fulfillment to truly show off her singing voice for the first time in the movie The High Note. That moment was not only the breaking of her own barrier of fear, but it also made the legendary Diana Ross shed tears of pride and burst with happiness. At our Memory Vault, we view the bond between Diana and Tracee as the most beautiful testament to a maternal love built on absolute respect. Analyzing deeper, we immensely admire how Diana Ross stood back, not using her influence to interfere or force her child to walk a path paved with roses. That is a very humane and subtle educational philosophy that many generations of families can learn from. Give children the time to freely explore and mature at their own pace. Tracee's brilliant success today is proof that when nurtured with tolerance, children will know how to bring glory to their family lineage in the most radiant way. Halle Berry and Nala Aubrey. Halle Berry entered the legendary temple of world cinema as the first woman of color to conquer the prestigious Oscar for Best Actress, opening new doors of hope for subsequent generations. Yet behind the dazzling stage lights, her journey of motherhood was filled with tears and fierce struggles. Little Nala Aubrey. The crystallization of love between her and a famous male model inadvertently became the focus of the paparazzi right from the moment of birth. The little girl's childhood was constantly surrounded by stalking, intense legal custody battles, and family conflicts ruthlessly dissected by the press. Facing the risk of her daughter's childhood being robbed by the media, Halle Berry transformed into a true protector. She did not hesitate to engage in prolonged legal battles, even stepping up to lobby lawmakers to pass strict laws to protect the privacy of children with celebrity parents. Thanks to that utmost fierce protection, Nala had the chance to enjoy rare, peaceful days. Now, as she enters her teenage years, Nala impresses with her delicate and graceful beauty inherited from her mother. But she chooses a very quiet lifestyle, staying away from all noisy scandals to focus on cultivating her knowledge. In the view of our Memory Vault, Halle Berry is the purest and strongest symbol of maternal instinct. We deeply respect her choice in firmly refusing to turn her child into a tool to attract attention or polish her name. Instead, she accepted confronting the harsh entertainment world to give her child the right to grow up normally. For those who cherish core family values, this is a profound testament to silent sacrifice. The simple, peaceful happiness of Nala today is the sweetest and most deserving reward for the tireless efforts of the Oscar-winning mother. Jada Pinkett Smith and Willow Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith carries an aura of power and the sharp bravery of a top Hollywood actress, singer, and producer. When she and actor Will Smith built their home, their family immediately became one of the most influential artistic empires. Their daughter, Willow Smith, was born into privilege, inherited outstanding artistic genes, and quickly shook the globe at just 9 years old with the hit Whip My Hair. However, fame came too early like an oversized shirt. It drained her energy and pushed the young girl into a severe psychological crisis, trapped in an endless cycle of performances. Standing at the crossroads between a brilliant career and her daughter's crumbling mental health, Jada and her family had to make a historic decision. When Willow shaved her head as a silent cry to reclaim her freedom, Jada did not choose to protect the family's face or commercial interests. She listened, empathized, and immediately withdrew her daughter from all entertainment activities to heal. That time away from the stage became a magical medicine, helping Willow rebuild her soul and return to music with a completely new appearance. A profound, independent rock artist with a sharp edge in all her thoughts. At our Memory Vault, we see this event as a highly valuable family education manual in today's era. Looking deeper, we particularly praise Jada Pinkett Smith's flexible mindset. Instead of imposing parental authority, she placed herself on the same level to talk and heal with her child. For parents, the lesson here is the courage to admit mistakes and place the mental happiness of children above all superficial glory. The strong, highly individualized rise of Willow today is the most resounding answer to how immense the power of tolerant and understanding love truly is. We have just witnessed the wonderful power of empathy. But what happens when the next generation must carry a massive artistic legacy without the permission to fail? Let's immediately uncover the secret of the next powerful mother-daughter duo to witness a rise full of pride. Chaka Khan and Indira Khan. Chaka Khan, holding the title Queen of Funk, has made her mark in history with a powerful voice like an erupting volcano and a wild style full of vitality. For decades, her music has been an inextinguishable energy source, igniting the flames of passion in millions of audiences worldwide. Growing up right on the sidelines of brightly lit stages and behind the wings of tireless tours, her daughter Indira Khan breathed in the rhythm-filled air from a young age. Being the child of a legendary vocalist often brings psychological, overwhelming pressure, causing many subsequent generations to choose to avoid it. But Indira chose to face that massive legacy with a completely different mindset. Without a bit of hesitation or fear before the strict comparisons of experts, Indira Khan confidently accepted the natural gift bestowed by her family bloodline. She possesses a powerful timbre, skillful vocal techniques, and an explosive performance aura no less than her creator. The most glorious moment proving this complete inheritance was when Indira brilliantly transformed into her own mother in a biographical film. With all her heart and talent, she recreated the golden era of Chaka Khan, giving the public goosebumps due to the magical intersection between two generations of talented artists. From the analytical perspective of our Memory Vault, the story of Chaka Khan and her daughter carries a very positive message about cherishing roots and cultural heritage. We realize that instead of trying to deny it to find a forced difference, continuing and refreshing the traditional values of the family requires a much greater bravery. The musical harmony of the mother and daughter is not only a bridge connecting family ties, but also a priceless gift dedicated to nostalgic fans. That is the proof that talent and passion can overcome the erosion of time, passing on forever through the veins of the future generation. Whoopi Goldberg and Alex Martin. Whoopi Goldberg is one of the rare names in Hollywood history to reach the pinnacle of fame by possessing the complete set of the 4 most prestigious awards: Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony EGOT. Powerful, wealthy, and respected by the whole world, her life as a mother was an epic full of challenges with harsh life lessons for her only daughter, Alex Martin. Growing up in velvet and under the overly large shadow of her mother, Alex once fell into the vortex of youthful mistakes. At the age of 30, already a mother of children, she unexpectedly found herself empty-handed, losing all her assets due to impulsive financial decisions and a reckless lifestyle. Facing her daughter's collapse, instead of using her massive fortune to settle everything like many other stars would, Whoopi Goldberg made a seemingly ruthless but deeply awakening decision, refusing financial bailouts. She forced Alex to move out, face poverty, and clean up the mess she created with her own hands. That cutting off decision once shook the media, but it was exactly the lifesaver that brought Alex back to reality. From the abyss of despair, Alex had to start over, learn to manage her life, develop her production career, and proudly rebuild a multi-million-dollar fortune on her own. As the storytellers at Our Memory Vault, we see Whoopi Goldberg's strictness as the pinnacle of wise motherhood. Analyzing deeper, that decisive action was not abandonment, but a purifying educational method, teaching the next generation to understand the true value of money and labor. Middle-aged audiences will certainly find deep empathy with this perspective. Wrapping children in velvet will breed reliance, but throwing them into the storm with firm faith will mold robust and brave diamonds. Viola Davis and Genesis Tenon. Viola Davis, the prestigious Oscar-winning star, has long engraved in the public's mind the image of a resilient woman of color overcoming a harsh childhood to reach the peak of glory. Behind those edgy and deeply psychological roles, she is a very warm mother, carrying a complete, pure love for her adopted daughter, Genesis Tenon. Not carrying the pain of childbirth. The bond between Viola and Genesis is stronger and more sacred than any definition of blood. Living in an atmosphere filled with literature, art, and lessons of compassion, Genesis quickly revealed a sensitive soul and an innate artistic intellect. Unlike Hollywood children who are often pampered by the media from a young age, Genesis's entry into cinema came very naturally and purely. During a playful moment beside her mother on set, the 7-year-old girl coincidentally showed off her ability to mimic the voices of animated characters so expressively that it left the entire production crew stunned. Without going through training schools or borrowing her famous mother's name, Genesis won her first voice acting role herself through that very innocence and brilliant natural talent. That event was not only Viola Davis's boundless pride, but also an affirmation of an artistic seed silently sprouting. At Our Memory Vault, we believe that Viola Davis's parenting journey is a beautiful chapter on cultivating the soul rather than forcing a direction. We particularly applaud how the actress created a free family space where the child has the right to express emotions and talents without carrying any psychological burden of fame. For parents, this is a highly meaningful message about the power of natural education. It is sincere, unconditional love and timely encouragement that have attached the strongest wings, helping child talents like Genesis confidently raise their voices in the vast sky. Angela Bassett and Bronwyn Vance. Angela Bassett has always been praised as an authoritative goddess of contemporary cinema, possessing a sharp aura and roles that serve as a strong manifesto of the power of women of color. When she married and gave birth to her daughter, Bronwyn Vance, many expected this powerful family to continue training a new generation of outstanding actors. However, Bronwyn brought a completely different breeze. Growing up in an elite artistic environment, the young girl quickly recognized her privileges but did not immerse herself in them. Instead of stepping onto the glamorous red carpet, Bronwyn chose to stand behind the lights, directing her attention to community activities and academic foundations. Instead of relying on the title, Angela Bassett's daughter, Bronwyn, created a small earthquake among the elite when she successfully raised tens of thousands of dollars for charities at the mere age of 16. With sharp thinking, excellent debating skills, and letters directly sent to powerful CEOs, she proved the strength of a generation of young intellectuals who dare to think and act. Not stopping at community projects, Bronwyn also revealed a fierce passion for underground music composing and developing a highly unique artistic style that goes far beyond any stereotyped media predictions. Our Memory Vault views the story of Angela Bassett and her daughter as a highly encouraging signal about the transformation of the next generation. Instead of just inheriting fame, they are gradually shifting towards creating humane values and intellectual depth. We deeply appreciate Angela's educational method, giving her child a solid cultural foundation and allowing her the freedom to explore her true self, whether that is a rebellious girl who loves music or a sharp social activist. This is the standard of a modern family where the preceding generation is a solid launch pad, yielding the vast sky to the epical ambitions of their children. Lisa Bonet and Zoe Kravitz. Lisa Bonet, the symbol of wild beauty and the most liberal spirit of the 80s, left an indelible mark on pop culture history. The crystallization of the love between her and rock star Lenny Kravitz is Zoe Kravitz, a girl carrying dense artistic blood and a mesmerizing biracial beauty. From childhood, Zoe was used to being hunted by camera lenses, constantly being dissected and compared in appearance to her legendary mother. Living amidst Hollywood's harsh judgments where a privileged background sometimes becomes a barrier to true recognition, Zoe had to bite her lip and face many bitter rejections and cruel discrimination in her early days in the profession. However, carrying the rebellious fire and determination inherited from her parents, Zoe Kravitz never allowed herself to succumb to the barriers of prejudice. She worked diligently, patiently, accumulating experience through countless roles, from small to large, gradually winning over strict critics. Her career truly exploded when she excellently transformed into Catwoman in the cinematic blockbuster, bringing a sharp, seductive, and deeply psychological image. Zoe single-handedly smashed the stereotype of children born with a silver spoon, affirming her superior artistic class and officially escaping the shadow of her powerful parents to become an independent superstar. Our Memory Vault's perspective on Zoe Kravitz's rising journey is absolute admiration for the willpower to rise from the adversity of the halo. We deeply assess that sometimes the biggest barrier for a person is not a lack of resources, but rather the excessive favoritism of the starting line. This story conveys a very strong message to mature audiences for children to truly grow up. Parents cannot walk for them on thorny paths. It is the silent training and patience to overcome social prejudices that are the furnace forging the radiant aura and solid position of Zoe Kravitz on the global cinematic map today. Lauryn Hill and Sheila Marley. Lauryn Hill, the great icon of R&B music, who created albums that changed world music history, has always been worshipped by the public as a goddess with a free and highly philosophical soul. However, behind the soaring melodies and the artist's brilliant aura, her family life was a painting containing many somber tones. Her daughter, Sheila Marley, born with the blood of two of the world's most powerful musical families, had to endure a childhood lacking the softness of maternal love. The endless tour schedules and the overly strict disciplinary educational methods of the mother inadvertently created invisible mental pressures weighing heavily on Sheila's little shoulders. Living in a home filled with fame, but lacking listening and warm hugs, the little girl's childhood consisted of long days yearning for empathy, carrying her own burdens without knowing who to confide in. Facing the deep mental traumas that lingered from childhood, Sheila Marley chose a very brave and authentic resolution, speaking up to heal herself. Her public sharing about the psychological hidden corners of being the child of a legend completely shattered the flawless monument that the public had deluded themselves into believing about artists. This action was not a one-sided reproach, but a desperate effort to escape the overly large shadow of her family, searching for her true self and freedom for her own soul. By directly confronting the past, Sheila is gradually rebuilding her life using music and fashion as a spiritual therapy to mend the cracks. She chooses to walk on her own feet, not relying on her family's prestigious label to prove that every wound can eventually blossom. Our Memory Vault recognizes that the story of Lauryn Hill and Sheila Marley leaves a thought-provoking silence about the trade-off between the peak of career and family happiness. We understand that for women bearing historical responsibilities like Lauryn, balancing the role of a mother is extremely arduous. However, through the eyes of audiences who have experienced many ups and downs, this is an expensive lesson in parenting methods. Strictness devoid of empathy sometimes pushes children away from the family's embrace. We deeply respect Sheila's courage in daring to face the pain, because only when the truth is acknowledged can the healing process truly begin. It is profound proof that every individual needs to be loved with the utmost tolerance and gentleness. Nina Simone and Lisa Simone Kelly. Nina Simone, an immortal monument of jazz and soul music, was not only a genius artist, but also a resounding voice, representing the proud civil rights movement of people of color. But ironically, the music that soothed and inspired millions could not calm the storms in her own mind. Living with complex psychological illnesses, Nina's mood was always a pendulum swinging between two extremes, making the family environment suffocating and full of instability. In that situation, her daughter, Lisa Simone Kelly, had to go through extremely arduous childhood years, always having to gauge her mother's attitude and live in a defensive state. For a child growing up next to a genius with a shattered soul is a burden too heavy to bear, wearing away pure, innocent joys. To save herself from that suffocating environment, Lisa made a very bold decision, leaving the stage lights entirely and enlisting in the United States Air Force. The disciplined military environment, completely isolated from the glittering artistic world, became a safe haven, helping her forge her will and find balance in her soul. Only after she had built a solid spiritual foundation and her legendary mother passed away did Lisa decide to return to her musical roots. She raised her voice not to satisfy anyone's expectations, but to tell her own story while honoring her mother's legacy with a completely serene, free and proud mindset. At our Memory Vault, we view Lisa Simone Kelly's journey as an epic about the power of self-healing and epical filial piety. We immensely admire Lisa's decision to leave during her youth. It was not an escape, but an instinct for survival and the self-respect necessary to protect her mental health. This story sends a very profound message to you. The audience, we cannot choose where we are born, but we can completely choose how we face and overcome adversity. Lisa's brilliant return to the music stage is a confirmation that true family love sometimes requires us to know how to step back and heal ourselves before we can be tolerant of the flaws of the preceding generation. Vanessa Williams and Jillian Hervey. Vanessa Williams is a name that has entered American cultural history as the first woman of color to be crowned Miss America, and later rose to become a multi-talented star, overcoming all public storms. Growing up in the glamorous halo and incredible resilience of her mother-daughter, Jillian Hervey soon revealed the artistic blood flowing in her veins. However, Jillian carries an independent, wild personality and a fierce desire for freedom. She was extremely allergic to being labeled the former beauty queen's daughter and always refused to use her family's fame as an easy stepping stone. Instead of walking the red-carpeted path her mother had cleared, Jillian decided to change direction, plunging into musical genres that are picky with listeners and struggling on her own to affirm her unique quality. The milestone marking Jillian's explosion was when she co-founded the music group Lion Babe, bringing a fresh breeze blending neo-soul and contemporary R&B. Jillian's most impressive highlight is not only her magical voice, but also her massive, naturally frizzy, wild hair, like a lion's mane. It was a powerful manifesto about breaking the stereotyped beauty standards of Hollywood. The most amazing thing is that she kept this music project completely secret from her mother for a long time. It was not until her debut music video created a fever on social media platforms and caught the attention of experts that Vanessa Williams was stunned to realize her little daughter had truly become a soaring artist. Our Memory Vault highly evaluates the breakthrough artistic thinking and excellent professional self-esteem of Jillian Hervey. We believe that her act of hiding her career to become independent is the clearest proof of her desire to be recognized purely by her own abilities. For parents watching the video, this is a beautiful testament to letting go so children can freely explore their limits. Jillian's success sent a strong message. The young generation does not necessarily have to follow the perfect standards set by their parents. It is exactly their differences and confident appreciation of their original beauty that are the keys to opening the door to the most sustainable halo. Vanessa Williams and Sasha Fox. Besides the proud musical story of Jillian, Vanessa Williams also has another daughter who carries a very unique personality, Sasha Fox. The result of the marriage between the actress and former NBA basketball star Rick Fox, Sasha naturally inherited a highly outstanding appearance, towering height, and a sharp beauty perfectly blended from both parents. With such a prestigious background, the press and experts once assumed she would quickly step onto the path of a professional model or mainstream cinema. However, Sasha brought an interesting shock to fans when she decided to choose sports, specifically the extremely harsh sport of wrestling, as her fierce passion during her high school years. Engaging in a field requiring physical strength full of sweat and bruises proved that Sasha Fox is not a walking vase living off family fame. She's ready to face challenges outside her comfort zone, breaking away from the graceful, haughty image that people often attach to Hollywood daughters. Not stopping at sports upon entering adulthood, Sasha began to diversify herself. She confidently strides on fashion runways with a healthy physique, participates in acting, and most notably reveals a sharp cinematic mindset in the role of directing short films. With unpredictable versatility, the young girl is proving that she is a multifaceted block without any limits. From the analytical perspective of our memory vault, the story of Sasha Fox is a typical representative of a dynamic young generation confidently breaking all traditional career molds. We are very impressed with the open mindset of Vanessa Williams' family when supporting her daughter to pursue an edgy sport instead of forcing her to maintain a flawless image. This provides a profound lesson for many families: do not limit your children's future with prejudices about gender or career. Allowing the young generation to commit and experiment in diverse fields, from wrestling to cinema, is the best way for them to practice endurance, thereby confidently creating multi-dimensional achievements, carrying bold, personal marks in the new era. Gabrielle Union and Kavia James Wade. Gabrielle Union is a talented actress, distinguished by her intelligence, charm, and the image of a modern woman always mastering her life. Her family life with basketball legend Dwyane Wade became even more fulfilled and drew the media's attention when their little daughter, Kavia James Wade, was born. Normally, children born into A-list families will be pampered by their parents, building an obedient, adorable image like perfect angels before the camera. However, Kavia chose to shine according to a completely opposite rule. Right from when she was just a toddler, she revealed a strong personality, extremely sharp facial expressions, and carried the bold demeanor of an authoritative old soul. Kavia's side eyes and highly expressive frowns in front of the camera quickly turned her into an explosive phenomenon on social media, affectionately dubbed the Shady Baby by netizens. Without trying to mold or force her daughter to smile unnaturally, to preserve an image, Gabrielle Union viewed this unique personality trait with respect and delicate humor. The couple turned this internet phenomenon into a positive cultural value by releasing a children's book titled Shady Baby, which quickly entered the bestseller lists. Through this, Kavia is not just a famous baby, but has become a young author inspiring the free expression of one's true emotions. From the perspective of our memory vault, Gabrielle Union's parenting method carries a very modern and bright philosophy. We realize that respecting original personality traits, whether it's a child's stubbornness or humorous expressions, is the pinnacle of unconditional love. For grandparents and parents watching this is an excellent demonstration that a child's childhood does not need to be framed in fake perfection. The authenticity, daring to be herself right from a young age of Kavia, has created a fierce attraction while simultaneously reminding us adults to appreciate and enjoy the most ordinary, simple, and honest moments beside our children. Iman and Zuleika Haywood. Iman is honored worldwide as a legendary supermodel and extraordinary beauty icon who contributed to reshaping the entire standard of the international fashion industry. Being the daughter of such a goddess of beauty seems like a privilege, but for Zuleika Haywood, it was a terrifying psychological burden lasting throughout her youth. Contrary to the slim, gracefully standard figure of her mother, Zuleika had to struggle with severe weight issues right from when she was a little girl. Imposed under the expected lens of the media and the invisible beauty standards of her family, her childhood was a series of days immersed in harsh diets, weight loss pills, and ultimate self-deprecation when looking in the mirror. Even though she applied all extreme methods to meet the expectations of the surrounding world, Zuleika's weight continued to increase, pushing her physical and mental health to the edge of the abyss. The real turning point of her life only came when she turned 30, when Zuleika decided to undergo gastric bypass surgery. This life-or-death decision was absolutely not to satisfy the public's gaze or to chase the standards of her famous mother, but an act to save her own life and health. The spectacular change in appearance later brought her a new source of vital energy, helping her confidently enter the business world, becoming a businesswoman excellently operating in cosmetic business strategies behind the scenes. Our Memory Vault views the story of Zuleika Haywood as a deeply heartbreaking yet highly humane lesson on the consequences of physical appearance standards within a family. We assess that sometimes the perfection of the preceding generation inadvertently becomes a sharp knife, hurting the self-esteem of the following generation. Through this reflective perspective, we want to send a powerful message to the audience. True beauty is never measured by the numbers on a scale or clothing sizes. Zuleika's success today proves that when a person knows how to cherish life, bravely reclaims control of their destiny, and promotes inner intellect, they will shine in the most brilliant and solid way. Cicely Tyson and Joan Tyson. Cicely Tyson was a great wall of American cinema and theater, an exemplary symbol of perseverance, as throughout her life, she resolutely refused roles that demeaned the dignity of women of color. She brought audiences characters full of weight, spreading messages of pride and profound self-respect. However, in complete contrast to her illustrious career, often appearing before the public, her personal life was an impenetrable fortress. What left the whole world astounded was that for over 70 years, Cicely completely hid the existence of her only daughter, Joan Tyson, from the curious eyes of the media and Hollywood aficionados. Cicely's protection for Joan reached an absolute level. From a young age, Joan was sent to a distant boarding school, living a quiet life completely separated from the dazzling red carpets and the blinding camera flashes that always surrounded her famous mother. Not a single paparazzi photo was taken. Not a newsline mentioned her name. Joan seemed to be an invisible ghost in the entertainment industry. It was not until Cicely Tyson released her memoir in January 2021, just 2 days before she passed away, that the secret of this mysterious daughter was officially revealed to the whole world. Even so, Joan's appearance in current life continued to be a perfectly intact unknown. Our Memory Vault is deeply moved by this story because it demonstrates a stoic maternal love and immense sacrifice. In an era where many celebrities do not hesitate to use their children as media tools to polish their names, Cicely's decision to hide her child is a resounding affirmation of privacy rights. For older audiences, we understand even more that peace is the most precious jewelry. The fact that Cicely accepted the reputation of being a closed-off person just to exchange for her daughter a childhood free from judgment, a free life unframed by the label child of a legend, is the greatest proof of boundless love. Phylicia Rashad and Condola Rashad. Phylicia Rashad has long been affectionately given the title America's Mother by the public, thanks to the grace, wisdom, and warmth she brought to the small screen. As a woman with a noble aura and the first artist of color to win a prestigious Tony Award, she built an extremely strict artistic standard. Growing up under the shadow of such a great tree, daughter Condola Rashad did not feel complacent. On the contrary, she absorbed the spirit of discipline and utmost dedication to the sanctuary of art. Instead of choosing the easy cinematic path, with backing from her mother, Condola ventured into the stage lights of Broadway, a place requiring genuine capability and leaving no room for errors. Condola's talent does not stop at the title born in the profession, as she is truly a stage genius with superhuman memory and incredible improvisational skills. Theater lovers were once shocked to learn that she had memorized over 3,000 lines of the play Romeo and Juliet, including the lines of her co-stars. It was this ability that helped her save the entire play when the male lead unexpectedly forgot his lines right on stage. Even more at the pinnacle in another play when her co-star unfortunately suffered a dislocated shoulder. Condola improvised to turn the entire scene into a 12-minute-long monologue, keeping the audience's emotional flow uninterrupted so the medical team had time to handle it. From the analytical angle of our Memory Vault, Condola Rashad is a perfect testament to the saying like mother, like daughter, but on a completely autonomous scale. We highly appreciate Felicia Rashad's educational method, not handing glory to her child, but handing her the rigorous training to grasp glory herself. Condola's brilliance on the Broadway stage conveys a highly positive message to the young generation. No matter how prestigious a family you are born into, true capability and relentless dedication are the only things that help you stand firm. For audiences who cherish genuine art, Condola's talent and situation-handling bravery are the finest sweet fruits that the Rashad family has left for the world. Thandie Newton and Nico Parker. Thandie Newton. Now Thandie Newton is a biracial rose, carrying the sharp beauty, intellect, and rare steadfastness of British cinema and Hollywood. Throughout her career, she has always spoken out strongly against prejudices and injustices in the entertainment industry. When her daughter Nico Parker was born and grew up with a face exactly like her mother's, the public quickly placed an invisible expectation on the young girl's shoulders. Her radiant curly hair, deep eyes, and gorgeous mixed skin meant Nico was identified wherever she went as the perfect copy of Thandie. But for a young person longing to affirm their ego, being labeled as her mother's shadow was a psychological burden that Nico always wanted to break free from. Not wanting to be framed by the Nepo baby label, Nico outlined a very serious capacity development roadmap for herself. She didn't choose easy roles to show off her beauty, but ventured into works requiring complex psychological depth. Starting with Dumbo at age 14, the turning point that made the whole world take their hats off in admiration was her acting in the survival series The Last of Us. Although her screen time was not long, Nico portrayed the ultimate pain and innocence of the character, taking away millions of tears from global audiences. She proved that behind the appearance resembling her mother is a completely independent, profoundly internal and sensitive artistic soul. Through the lens of our memory vault, Nico Parker's breakthrough journey brings a very interesting perspective on the psychology of the inheriting generation. We highly respect the quietness and subtlety of Thandie as she stepped back, letting her daughter face the harsh judgments of the media and audiences on her own. This is an expensive lesson in maturity. Parents can give their children their physical form, but ego and career are things children must win for themselves with sweat and tears. The recognition that experts give to Nico today proves that when talent is great enough and determination is fierce enough, children can completely smash prejudices to shine brilliantly on their own feet. Tamara Mowry and Araya Talea Housley. Tamara Mowry is a beloved face tied to the youthful memories of many television generations through hilarious family movies and her charming, energetically positive role as an MC. Her fulfilled married life became even more resonant with laughter when her little daughter Araya Talea Housley appeared. Unlike the common belief that celebrity children often have to live timidly or be molded into a perfect model to please the public, Arya, right from when she was a toddler, carried a highly vibrant, strong, and independent personality, making both her family and fans extremely delighted. Despite being very young, Arya soon revealed a clear aesthetic mindset and surprising steadfastness in expressing her personal preferences. For instance, when given the right to decide on decorating her room, she resolutely demanded a space filled with pink, according to her own aesthetic taste, from the bed and the rug to every single chair. This adorable decisiveness was not the unreasonable stubbornness of a spoiled child, but the early expression of an independent personality that knows clearly what she wants. Tamara, instead of dismissing it, very happily respected and accommodated those wishes, creating an environment that nurtures absolute confidence for her daughter. From the profound perspective of our memory vault, the small story of Tamara's family brings a very warm and subtle educational message. We believe that listening to and respecting the small choices of children, even if it's just the color of a room or an outfit, is a solid foundation for building self-esteem for the future generation. For parents and grandparents watching this video, this is a gentle reminder of the pure joy of parenting. Happiness is not forcing your child to become the version you desire, but enjoying the process of watching a seedling confidently bloom into petals, carrying its own unique original colors. Debbie Allen and Vivian Nixon. Debbie Allen is not just an actress. She's a legendary choreographer, a director, and an endless source of energy that reshaped the American art of dance. Carrying the blood of a stage queen daughter, Vivian Nixon grew up with the rhythm of music and grueling stretching exercises. The greatness of the mother was both a guiding lighthouse and an immense mountain of pressure weighing on Vivian's shoulders. She had to work with 200% effort to prove she deserved the center position on the Broadway stage, erasing the whispers of favoritism from her family's overly large shadow to shine on her own bleeding feet. However, destiny dealt a fatal blow to Vivian's career at its most brilliant peak. During a performance, an incorrect turn caused her knee to dislocate, severely tearing many crucial ligaments. For a professional dancer, this was nothing short of a death sentence, stripping away their sole reason for living. Falling into the deep pit of depression and despair, it seemed Vivian would collapse forever. Yet right at this moment, the warrior spirit of Mother Debbie Allen took effect. She did not allow her daughter to give up. Going through more than a grueling year with intensely painful physical therapy exercises, Vivian created a miracle when she returned not only to the dance stage, but also crossed over into the television sector, inspiring thousands of other young dancers. Our Memory Vault views the story of Vivian Nixon as an epic of survival willpower and rising from the death of passion. We immensely admire how Debbie Allen accompanied her child, not shedding weak tears, but becoming the most solid fulcrum, forging a steel spirit for her child to defeat adversity. For audiences who have weathered many of life's storms, this story is profound proof that the greatest legacy of a family is not artistic aptitude, but resilience and the ability to stand up more brilliantly after every fall. Vivian's rebirth is the greatest choreographic masterpiece the mother and daughter have created together. Niecy Nash and Dia Nash. Niecy Nash brings to Hollywood audiences an image full of energy, a radiant smile, and charming humor. However, behind that halo and laughter is a bleeding heart that few understand. Her own younger brother passed away forever in a heartbreaking tragedy when he was too young. Niecy used acting and smiles to hide the pain, self-bandaging profound mental traumas. Growing up in a family bearing such a large scar, daughter Dia Nash not only understood her mother's secret tears, but also soon realized that the mission of art is not just to entertain, but a means to soothe and speak up for lives that have suffered much loss. Carrying a compassionate heart and acting talent inherited from her mother, Dia Nash did not chase glamorous, superficial roles. She decided to join her mother in the extremely heavy psychological crime drama series, Dahmer. In this work, Dia authentically transformed into the family member of a victim, portraying the genuine agony, outrage, and utmost helplessness of losing a loved one. For Dia, it wasn't simply an acting job, but a way she utilized her own family's past pain, translating real tears into a performance that touched the soul, contributing to bringing deep empathy to millions of television viewers. From the perspective of Our Memory Vault, the collaboration between mother and daughter, Niecy and Dia Nash, goes far beyond the boundaries of ordinary cinema. It is a journey of psychological therapy and healing pain across generations. We highly respect their courage in daring to face the shadows of the past, using art to turn personal tragedy into a common voice of resilience. For middle-aged audiences who have experienced separation, this is a story carrying massive, humane weight. It reminds us that tragic events do not necessarily have to bury us in despair. If we know how we can entirely turn them into light, into strength, to warm and heal those around us. Cheryl Lee Ralph and Ivy Coco. Cheryl Lee Ralph has always been hailed as an icon of elegance, nobility, and a historical giant of the Black artistic stage. Having a mother with such a queen-like demeanor, daughter Ivy Coco was not overshadowed, but on the contrary, turned herself into a sharp cultural strategist, the person behind her mother's explosive moments on prestigious red carpets. Instead of pursuing the traditional acting path or simply being a personal fashion stylist, Ivy carries a vision ahead of her time. She wants to use fashion to honor the excellence of the Black community and break the outdated norms of Hollywood. The combination of her mother's extensive experience and the daughter's acute mindset has created a powerful new force. The most shocking moment proving Ivy Coco's talent was at the 2023 Golden Globes, when some luxury fashion brands expressed doubt and refused to sponsor outfits for Cheryl Lee Ralph Ivy, turned that bitter refusal into a massive lever. She decided to turn her back on major labels, handpicking a young black designer to create the gorgeous evening gown for her mother. As a result, Cheryl Lee Ralph swept all the best-dressed lists of prestigious magazines like Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. With a very smart move, Ivy not only made her mother the center of attention, but also created a small revolution, clapping back at the narrow-minded prejudices of elite fashion circles. From the analytical angle of our memory vault, the story of Cheryl Lee Ralph and her daughter is a masterclass in the resonance of strength between two generations. We are extremely delighted that the mother was willing to step back trustingly, handing full decision-making power over her image into the hands of her young daughter. For middle-aged audiences, this is an excellent testament to the fact that the preceding generation possesses the legacy, but the younger generation holds the key to the era. When we know how to set aside our egos to listen and combine with the breakthrough thinking of our children, the stumbles or rejections of society will quickly be resolved, turning into a launchpad for the family to continue shining more brilliantly than ever before. Diahann Carroll and Suzanne Kay. Diahann Carroll was a pioneering legend, a woman who used her haughty beauty and outstanding talent to smash the most solid racial barriers on American television. However, behind that historical career, her family life was a complex painting full of sorrowful hidden corners. Her daughter, Suzanne Kay, born as a mixed-race child at a time when society still held heavy prejudices, immediately became the focus of public curiosity. Moreover, the extreme perfectionism of her famous mother inadvertently turned Suzanne's childhood into a suffocating glass cage. Every behavior, word, and future orientation of hers had to follow the strictest standards to protect the flawless image of her creator. The pressure from the overly large shadow of her mother led Suzanne to decide to completely reject the acting path. Instead, she chose to hide behind the lens as a journalist and film producer. However, trying to run away from the family halo pushed her into a dead-end marriage where she had to sacrifice her entire personal career to build up her family, but ultimately received only emptiness and struggle. It took over a decade of endurance until 2007 for Suzanne to muster the courage to file for divorce, taking the first steps on the journey to find her freedom. Yet it was only when Diahann Carroll passed away in 2019 that the daughter, carrying many emotional wounds, truly faced the past, completely removing her mask to live the most authentic life as herself. At our Memory Vault, we view Suzanne Kay's life as a heartbreaking harvest of the consequences of imposing expectations on children. Through profound analysis, we realize that even when parental love is boundless, if it is accompanied by toxic perfectionism, it will rob the next generation of their ego and joy of living. For the audiences watching this story, brings an awakening message. The greatest legacy is not forcing children to become a perfect version of yourself, but allowing them the right to make mistakes, the right to fail, and the right to live a free life, unjudged by the title child of a celebrity. Beverly Johnson and Anansa Sims. In 1974, Beverly Johnson made history by becoming the first black model to grace the cover of U.S. Vogue magazine, opening a new era for the international fashion industry. Born as the daughter of a global beauty icon, Anansa Sims proudly carries the seductive, sharp features from her mother. However, instead of inheriting a skinny figure according to the harsh standard norms of the fashion world at the time, Anansa possessed a full, vibrant physique. This difference quickly made her the target of discrimination. Cold designers turned their backs. Big brands refused all judging that she was too big to be able to reach the title of supermodel like her great mother. Facing the brutal rejection of the glamorous fashion world, Anansa Sims did not flinch or force herself into negative diets that destroyed her health. Instead, she decided to declare war on outdated aesthetic standards. With confidence in her original curves in 2004, Anansa made a breakthrough when signing a contract to become a plus-size supermodel, rightfully stepping onto major runways and smashing all limits. Not only strong in her career, she also showed remarkable resilience when steering her life through emotional storms with former NBA star Matt Barnes. Despite experiencing many noisy breakups and makeups in the press, she maintained her balance, protected her children, and found fulfillment in family happiness. Our Memory Vault's perspective on Anansa Sims is an absolute tribute to the willpower to protect one's ego and deep self-love. We highly respect how this woman redefined beauty, turning what others considered a flaw into the most seductive weapon. For audiences over 45, this is a hugely soothing and inspiring story. It reminds us all that a woman's true value does not lie in clothing sizes or society's evaluation, but in a confident aura, the ability to stand firm against public opinion, and the bravery to master her own destiny. Anansa's success is a resounding affirmation that all natural beauty deserves to be honored. Keshia Knight Pulliam and Ella Grace. Keshia Knight Pulliam is a name associated with the childhood of millions of American audiences through her role as the adorable child star in the legendary The Cosby Show. From a little girl pampered by the whole country, Keshia grew into a mature woman full of bravery, but her married life unexpectedly turned into a nightmare. Just as she was joyfully embracing motherhood, her marriage to former NFL player Ed Hartwell collapsed in the loudest and most cruel way. Baby Ella Grace, before even crying her first cry, was inadvertently swept into the eye of the storm of one of the media-shocking divorces, turning Keshia's pregnancy days into a series of days full of tears and extreme stress. The incident was pushed to the peak of humiliation when her ex-husband suddenly filed for divorce and publicly demanded a DNA test, doubting the blood origin of the very child lying in the mother's womb. Facing the malicious attacks from the public and the rejection from the person who once shared her bed, Keshia transformed into a true mother lion. Instead of collapsing or avoiding the media, she stood straight facing the storm, determined to protect her own honor and the rights of her unborn child. When the DNA results proved the truth belonged to her, Keshia strongly brushed aside the painful past, using all her strength to build a solid protective fence, giving Ella Grace a childhood overflowing with priceless love and peace. Our Memory Vault views the incident of Keshia Knight Pulliam as a resounding testament to the unparalleled power of a mother's love when pushed into adversity. Analyzing deeper, we realize that the cruelty of the media sometimes acts as the furnace forging the bravery of great mothers. For audiences who have experienced broken families, this story brings deep empathy and strong encouragement. When facing betrayal and doubt, Keshia did not choose to play the victim, but chose to become a proud female warrior. By rebuilding her life from the ashes, she taught her daughter Ella Grace the most valuable lesson about self-respect and the ability to self-heal wounds to continue living a brilliant life. Gina Torres and Delilah Fishburne. Gina Torres carries the sharp beauty and authority of a strong woman on screen, famous for hit television series like Suits and Firefly. Along with Matrix legend Lawrence Fishburne, they once formed one of the most powerful and admired couples in Hollywood. However, contrary to a life always surrounded by camera lenses of her parents, daughter Delilah Fishburne was raised in an incredibly astonishing mystery. In an era where star children frequently appear on magazine covers, attend red carpets, or soon possess millions of followers on social media, Delilah seemed to evaporate completely from the media's radar, becoming the most mysterious daughter of the cinematic capital. The security of Delilah's identity was so strict that even when Gina and Lawrence's marriage came to an end in 2018, an event attracting massive attention from the public, the girl remained completely unaffected by the curious prying of the press, with no public social media accounts and no leaked private photos. Delilah grew up like any other normal teenager, staying away from all noisy scandals and the fake glamour of showbiz. For the actor couple, hiding their daughter from camera flashes was not rejection, but a highly meticulous protection strategy aimed at giving their child the most precious privilege of a human being, the right to live an unjudged childhood. From the perspective of our Memory Vault, Gina Torres's parenting method is a shining example of establishing an absolute boundary between professional glory and family life. In the digital age where everything is easily exposed and commercialized, we immensely respect the actress's decision to preserve purity for her daughter. Dedicated to parents and the audience watching this is an extremely profound lesson on the value of peace. Refusing to let children be exposed to fame too early is the best way to protect a child's fragile soul from invisible pressures. Delilah's absence from the media, paradoxically, is the most expensive gift her parents could bestow. Alfre Woodard and Mavis Spencer. Alfre Woodard is a veteran artist respected by all of Hollywood. Someone who possesses a collection of prestigious awards and a persistent cinematic career bearing a bold mark of genuine art. Born into a family overflowing with the light of glory and upper-class privileges, daughter Mavis Spencer seemed as if she would easily don the actor's coat, inheriting her mother's massive cinematic fortune. Even when Mavis was honored as Miss Golden Globe in 2009 at the age of 18, the entire media presumed this was the perfect stepping stone for her to officially enter the cinematic capital. However, Mavis created a spectacular reversal that left everyone astounded when she decided to turn her back on the extravagance of Hollywood. Instead of immersing herself in red carpet parties and acting contracts paved with roses, Mavis found her life's purpose in a place full of dust, mud, and sweat, the arena of professional equestrian sports. She voluntarily shed the image of a star's daughter to put on the uniform of a true athlete, diving into grueling training schedules that drained her energy. Unfazed by the bruises on her body or the hardship of caring for war horses, Mavis conquered peak tournaments with her own hands and relentless effort. She chose to face practical challenges, proving her talent in a field where her mother's reputation held absolutely no priority value. Our memory vault views Mavis Spencer's bold decision as a strong message about the will to be independent and the desire to live fully with one's ego passion. We highly appreciate Alfre Woodard's open educational method, not using authority to dictate the future, but absolutely respecting her daughter's thorny choices. For middle-aged audiences, this story brings a feeling of immense pride and admiration. It proves that when a young person has enough bravery to reject available privileges, choosing to work with sweat and tears to assert themselves, the success they achieve is truly the most sustainable and respectable in life. Layla Rochon and Asia Rochon. In the 90s, Layla Rochon emerged as one of the most exquisitely beautiful icons of the silver screen, leaving a particularly deep mark through the cinematic masterpiece Waiting to Exhale. Her haughty beauty, captivating eyes, and elegant aura were once the desired standard of many. Completely inheriting the outstanding genetic code from her creator daughter, Asia Rochon, is like a proud black rose, possessing delicate features and a radiant aura no less than her great mother. However, born in an era where many youths race to attract attention at any cost, through social media and shocking tricks, Asia chose for herself a completely opposite lifestyle. Quiet, discreet, and incredibly elegant. Asia Rochon's appearances are so rare that every time she walks alongside her mother on event red carpets, it creates gentle fevers in the fashion world. Without needing daring cutout outfits or controversial statements to polish her name, Asia attracts all eyes with her calm demeanor, gentle smile, and the refinement radiating from her core. Despite having a perfect launchpad to quickly become famous, this young girl seems to understand very well the value of humility. She spends time cultivating knowledge, enjoying a peaceful life with her family, and being careful in her every step, refusing to sell out her privacy for entertainment media. Through the lens of our memory vault, Asia Rochon is an excellent representative of the concept of quiet luxury, an aura that is gradually fading among today's youth. We deeply cherish the tranquility in her soul, an inevitable result of the disciplined and strictly protective upbringing of Layla Rochon's family. For audiences of previous generations, this is a highly endearing and proud role model of youth. It reminds us that a person's true charm and power do not lie in how many times they appear on the front pages, but in the composure, ease, and cultural class exuded from their very own discreet yet highly valuable life choices. Lynn Whitfield and Grace Gibson. Lynn Whitfield is an acting monument known for roles carrying bold academic and sharp qualities and the image of a powerful, deeply proud Black woman. In contrast to her mother's classic standard model daughter, Grace Gibson is a multicolored painting carrying within her rebellion and deep traumas from the past. Grace's childhood was torn between two opposing worlds. On one side was the gorgeous, perfect halo of her mother, and on the other were the dark memories of her late father, director Brian Gibson, who had a highly complex and turbulent life. The passing of her father when Grace was only 13 created a massive psychological hole, pushing her into persistent mental crises that the luxury of Hollywood could not possibly compensate for. To escape the nightmares of her childhood, Grace Gibson sought music as a lifesaver to heal her soul. She did not follow trendy pop music or soothing melodies, but personally created a completely new artistic concept named rock noir, a wild mixture of heavy rock and the root melodies of Black people. In a shocking performance in 2018, Grace stepped onto the stage with a very edgy look, belting out self-composed lyrics like heart-wrenching screams about the struggle between her prestigious Hollywood bloodline and the naked pain of reality. That performance smashed all prejudices about an obedient princess, affirming her fierce and highly aggressive artistic ego. At our Memory Vault, we view Grace Gibson's rebellion not as delinquency, but as a defense mechanism and a highly respectable journey of psychological therapy through art. Analyzing more deeply, we understand that Lynn Whitfield had to have a massive tolerance to accept and let her daughter freely release the dark corners in her soul. Dedicated to audiences who have experienced family losses, this story carries an immense humanistic meaning. Genuine art is born from pain, and allowing children to use art to face scream and break free from the ghosts of the past is the deepest and bravest healing. Takina Arnold and Elijah Kai Haggins. Takina Arnold is a multi-talented actress who not only makes audiences laugh through classic roles in hilarious sitcoms, but also possesses a powerful, explosive voice that can shake any stage. Completely inheriting those outstanding genes, her daughter Elijah Kai Haggins, right from her teenage years, soon revealed a natural soaring and highly technical vocal tone. Living in a house where music is the daily language of communication, Elijah did not feel pressured by the overly large shadow of her creator. On the contrary, she saw her mother as a teacher, a formidable opponent to constantly learn from, hone her vocal skills, and confidently show off her talent in a very liberal and natural way. One of the most iconic moments proving Elijah's maturity took place in 2019 during a charity event. As the 15-year-old girl was passionately singing, Takina Arnold unexpectedly appeared and challenged her daughter in a completely impromptu vocal duel. Not timid or inferior to her mother's massive energy, Elijah responded with soaring high notes and extremely skillful vocal runs, creating a fiery duet that made the entire auditorium burst into excitement. The video recording that moment immediately caused a storm on social media, proving to the whole world that Elijah Kai is not only a promising young talent, but is ready to succeed to the musical throne her mother currently holds. From the energy-filled perspective of our Memory Vault, the vocal duel between Takina and Elijah is a beautiful expression of generational transfer in a positive and joyful way. Analyzing deeply, we believe this is not a negative competition, but an education through rubbing shoulders and uplifting each other in the same passion. For parents, the image of a mother and daughter sublimating together in art is a wonderful testament, showing that the happiest family is when parents and children can become soulmates, sharing hobbies, and constantly passing the fire to each other to aim for the best values in life. Closing the journey, looking back at 31 ups and downs stories, we clearly see that no matter how brilliant the halo is, it is tolerant maternal love and independent bravery that are the most precious legacies, helping the next generation step firmly through storms. Hopefully, the moments of reflection just now have brought you profound humanistic values about family affection and maturity. We wish you and your loved ones to always have truly peaceful, happy, and fully joyful times. Do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so our memory vault can continue to accompany you in the next fascinating nostalgic films. Goodbye, and see you again.